On that day we have been discussed one interface, and on this particular interface, so we have been implements. We do have 2 to 3 unimplemented methods, and once after this particular unimplemented methods, we have been taken with a class, and very weird. And I have a particular class, and on this particular class, so we have been implemented this, and then we have done. Now what we wanted to do is we wanted to play around with the multiple interfaces, and then we wanted to see on this one. Okay, so let me do this for today's explanation, and then we'll be doing it. Now how I'm going to do is I'll create an interface, and in this particular interface, on this particular interface, I'll be creating the 4 methods on this. So I'm not able to do this one here. Okay, so what I'll try to do is I'll create one interface, and with this particular interface, I'll create within this particular interface we'll be creating 4 to 5 methods. Okay, and once after this particular methods, I'll create multiple classes. Okay, so I'll create 4 classes, and with this particular classes, we will have a runner class. This particular runner class is what the implementation which we will be trying to do on. Okay, now let me try to do this particular thing. See, now last time what we means on Saturday what we have done is we created one interface with 2 methods, and once after this one we created a class, and we implemented in this particular that particular interface in this class, right? So this is what we have been done. Now today we will do it in this particular pattern. So now this is one way of implementation. So now for an example, if you wanted to understand the complete level of the implementation of these interfaces, you need to follow this one. So let me get started with this one. So slowly you will understand what I'm trying to do it, and then we'll be understanding this particular concept. Once again, I'm saying it, when you see in this session, you'll feel that, hey, this is very simple and easy, and then you understand it. But unless you practice, you will never get this one. Okay, so let me go for the implementation and then show on this one. Okay, let me close all. So I'll create a new package so that to avoid the confusion of with other files, form.training interfaces. I'll give it as 2. Okay, so second interfaces package. Now what I told you is, so now let me compare to this one. So first let me create one interface with one particular method. Now here what I'll do is, let me create one particular interface. Okay, so this interface name is I'll say that common browser. Okay, now I've given the common browser. Let me create this finish. Now I said that I wanted to create it for the multiple classes, right? So as we discussed, interface with the 4 methods, and the classes also wanted to create it, right? So now what I'll try to do is I'll try to create multiple classes here. First class is Chrome. Okay, so Chrome, I'll be calling this as a Chrome driver. Chrome browser, you will be having it, right? But still, you can think that this is as a Chrome driver. So why I have been written this one, slowly you'll understand later. I wanted to create a particular class. Now the same way, I'll create another class, Firefox driver, Firefox underscore driver. I created this class. Now I'll create one more class, Edge driver, Microsoft Edge. Okay, MS Edge driver. I have been given it. Now I'll give you one more last class file, which is called Safari. Safari driver, right? I'm sorry. I haven't written this one. Okay, so what I have did, I created one interface which it is showing as an eye, and I created 4 class files. Simple, nothing more than this. I go to this particular interface. What I did is, in the common browser, I need to write these particular methods, right? So now, what I'll try to do is, I'll create the particular methods over here. Now, what are those particular methods is, means what we'll be seeing that opening. So we'll be doing that browser opening, right? So let me write that one, browser opening. Okay. So I have been created this particular browser opening and I'm closing it. Now the same way, I'll create 4 unimplemented methods because this is an interface. Okay. So this particular interface, I'll be creating 4 methods. So now one is browser opening, browser closing, next browser navigation, and what else? Browser refresh. Okay, I created the 4 methods here. All these are unimplemented methods. Same browser opening, browser closing, navigation, and all these things. Now, what I wanted to do is, I'll go to the Chrome. Okay, I'll go here and here, first of all, I wanted to create one method. So this particular method belongs to the Chrome itself. Okay, here I'll write that specific Chrome method. Can I keep the spaces? No. Okay, no. I created this one. Now no. Here I'll be writing that SYSO. So I'm saying that because I am belongs to Chrome browser. Plus. I have been written this one. So now this is a non-static method, right? Now what I can do, if I wanted to call this one, what I need to do? Chrome driver.
Create object.
Create object.
Okay. I'll be doing it as a Chrome driver object equal to new. I'll do this. Now what I can do with this particular object dot the specific Chrome method, I can have this. Now if I execute this one, what it will print to me?
Boss, I belongs to Chrome browser.
Chrome. Boss, I belong to the Chrome browser. That's simple. Now I didn't implement this one. Now for an example, if I wanted to implement this, so now I need to implement this one, right? So what I'll try to do, implement. Now what I wanted to implement, so I wanted to implement this thing, right? Common browsers interface, it is there, right? I'm trying to interface it. So now as soon as I written these implements and then doing it, it will show me the error was add unimplemented methods. Now you can see that. So now these all are the methods which we got it. So you forgot about this override later. I tell you, so this I'll talk about later. This you don't worry about it. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to open the browser. Okay. So now what I will need to do for this one, SYSO. Okay. So here I'm saying that browser opening from Chrome. That's it, right? So now let me take this one for all. Okay, what I have done, I'll be just copying this statement, and these methods are changed, right? So now now browser closing, browser navigation, browser refresh. Simple, right? Now what I have did, I created the Chrome specific method, and these, when I implement it, I'll be getting this particular common from the common browser. I'll be getting all these things. I have been given a different implementation for this. All clear? Any questions? Till here, any questions?
Awesome. No, sir.
Okay.
No,
now,
sir.
let me take you through the Firefox driver. Okay. For Firefox, what I'll try to do is, I'm just to make it very faster, I'm doing this all. So you don't do this one because it might create the problem for you if you don't do this, because with a lot of many a times I have did it, so that's the reason it is pretty simple for me to do this. But for you, it might confuse you. Okay. So now if you see here, it was throwing me error. Why?
Because you did not use the implements word.
So till now I didn't implement it. You can see that. So numbers, still now you didn't implemented this one. So what I'll try to do is, I'll just go here, implements. That's it. See now here, everything is means for the Firefox. Now here what I have did the same thing, one specific method for the Firefox, and then I just implemented so that I'll be getting all these particular overridden methods, and I'm writing this one as a Firefox. See, I just copied and pasted and then renamed the Chrome with the Firefox. Got it? Now if I execute this one, what it will be coming at?
Boss, I belong to Firefox browser.
So now Firefox browser class. So this is what we're going to see. Okay, let me say this. Now I'll go to the edge. Okay. Okay. So now what I wanted to do, I wanted to change this particular Firefox, right? Firefox into, this is edge. It changed all. Okay, it's edge now.
Class name is message, sir.
Changed. Now what I need to do here, I didn't implement it. Let me implement that. That's it. This is also now ready for us. So I need to change the name of this one. Okay, changed it. So now what it happened, I created the same edge class, implemented this one. So as soon as I implemented, I got this all four. Okay, still some more errors. Something is missing. Sunflower brace. Okay, now we have been done with the Chrome, Firefox, Edge. So now what I wanted to do, the same thing I wanted to implement for Safari also. Okay, so now instead of Chrome, now what I wanted to do, Safari. Done. Now what I need to do, implements with the common. Okay, so now see, as we discussed, the simplest thing what we have done, you can see it here. Overall, we have 5 files. File number 1, which is an interface, which I created a simple 4 methods, means for a browser opening, browser closing, navigation, refresh, and I created 4 different class files. Now, the different class files are this particular Chrome driver. have that means implemented so that I can have this one. So if I wanted to execute from this class, I can do that, or else I can just I have been implemented on this. With this particular object, even I can call these all methods also, right? So now the same object, if I wanted to call this one, so this is what we have been discussed on Saturday. If I wanted to execute this, so I'll be getting this particular browser closing, and then with the same object, if I started to do that navigation, so these are all things you'll be getting it, right? So now if I execute this one, I'll be getting this. So this is what we have been seeing it on that day, right? So now here it was saying that, boss, I'm in the Chrome browser class, browser closing from Chrome, browser navigation from Chrome. So these all things you're getting it, right? So till here, any questions? The exit means here, what are the things we need to understand is one interface with the four classes, implementation of this particular Chrome browser, and their object creation, and then calling those particular specific methods. So these things, did we understood, or any questions on this? Any questions? Because if you understand this particular step only, then only you will go for the next step. That's what I'm asking you multiple times. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I'll do one thing also. So this one also I'll do this so that you can have that particular clear picture. Dot, and browser opening and browser closing, browser navigation, and the refresh. Okay. So now if you see here the four methods. So I created with the Chrome object because this is the class, right? In the class I have been created and I'm following this particular thing. I can do this one here, right? So now if I have been executed this one, so now you can see it. Then I start to execute this, it print me out. So till because everything it is able to call from that particular class. So this is clear for us, right? Now the same thing I'll add for all the classes also so that you can have this clarity. So this is what we have been done on Saturday. So actually I should have done it in the first itself, but just for your clarification I'm doing it. Okay. Okay. So this is what we have been done. Now, anywhere you go, just you execute this one, it will print you the respective things. So now it was saying that first I belong to the Safari class, Safari. Now here, if I execute this one, I'll be getting this one as all from the edge. And if I go for Firefox, if I execute this one, I'll be getting it with the all Firefox. Now the same thing if I execute from here, I'll be getting it from all. So till here, any questions? All clear? Or any questions you have? It is a simple four classes I have been created, one interface I have been created, and implemented that particular interfaces, and I executed that particular interface. So this is what we have discussed on Saturday. Now what else we are going to do now?
Sir, I have a question, sir. Hello.
Go ahead.
Sir, while creating the object, can we use the interface name as a reference variable?
That you can do it, right? So that is what I showed you on the Saturday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just missed it. That's why I'm asking.
So what's his question? Partho's question is, go on mute, Partho.
Yes, yes.
So what's his question is, see now all the object we have been created with the Chrome driver. Can you create the object with the Chrome browser? Sorry, Chrome or common browser interface. Can I create an object for an interface?
No. Only reference we can create.
See, now when you wanted to create an, see, now the answer is no. So can we create an object for the interfaces? No.
No.
But if you wanted to create, so we can take the help of this particular Chrome driver and then we can create it. So now you see it. I'll just copy this one and directly paste this. So now what it has done is, why we can't create an object for an interface?
Because it has no
constructor. They don't
So
have
now
constructor.
it will not have the constructor. So now when we don't have the constructor, now what I need to do it? I'll take the help of this particular class to create this. And then with this particular class, I created an object reference. And via this particular object reference, now I can create this. Let me do this one. I know here I'll use this object. Why it is throwing the error?
Using that, we can't call the self method.
Why this we call, why it is throwing the error?
Specific method is of Chrome driver.
because it belongs to the Chrome driver method.
So
Not
now
from
with the interfaces, the object reference which we created, the methods in this particular interface, so those particular methods only it can be called. Not others, means the specific method of Chrome it can't call. But for the common browser interface, I have only these 4 methods. It can call only these particular 4 methods. It can't call this. Got it? So now what I need to do it? So I need to remove this. Now if I exclude this one, what it will print to me? It will print me
All the interface methods.
so interface methods here. So we have the differentiation. Now we can say, so these all things has been created from the Chrome of this particular object, and then it has been called, and these methods are called from this particular interface object reference which we have been created and then we called. Same thing would be applicable for all these things, these particular classes also. One, and then. See, this is what the same thing we have been discussed on that day, right? Okay, is this right? What the change I need to do now?
Firefox driver.
Change the Chrome driver to Firefox.
You have to change the constructor.
So that's a constructor change which I need to do it. I know that who has been left, means not attended for the session on Saturday, and if you guys are attending for today, I know that this would be a Greek and Latin for you to follow for this. But as I told you, this is a series of sessions. So now if you missed one session, definitely it might lead to the confusion. Go back, practice well, and then try it out. This is right. So now if you go and execute anywhere, so now this is the output you get. This, so now these all things you got it from the edge class, and then you have been called this one. Right? Any questions still here? Actually, I repeated the same thing what we discussed on Saturday, but on Saturday what we have done is we have done it with one interface, one class. But here what we have done is one interface with multiple classes we have done. This is the only simple difference what we have been done on that day and today. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Now,
Sir, I'm sorry, I have a query. So rather giving, interface reference to the class, can we directly create an object for the class and with the same by using constructor? That we can do it, but that will not fetch, non-implemented methods from the interface, is it?
that is what we have done this way. So now this is the same class. Edge driver is a class. For edge driver itself, we created an object and we have been called all those methods. And this is for interface. With the help of this particular edge driver, we created an object reference and we are calling those particular methods. That is what we have done now, right?
Okay.
See, this is the edge driver class. See, that is what I'm saying. Don't get confused too much. It is pretty simple. Now, step number one, we have only one method specific to that particular edge. Now, what we have done, we implemented with this common. So now I have this all common implemented methods are there. I implemented from the edge. Now, what I have did, then I created an object for the edge class so that I can call the specific method of this particular edge, plus I can call these all implementations has been implemented here. I can call them also. This is what I have been done with the edge class object. Now I created an object for reference for the interface. For this particular interface can't create an object because interfaces will not have the constructor. So now what we have done is for this particular interface object reference, we given the memory and space from this edge driver. So if you see here, we copied the same thing. Now with this particular object reference, I can call whatever the methods that belong to the interface. So that is where we call that particular methods. But we can't call the specific method of the Chrome because this interface not belongs to this particular class and this method is not belong to this. So that's the reason you can't call this particular method. So now what we have done, we can call only these particular methods, even though you have the space. But still, this object will not have the authority or authorization to call the local specific methods. This is what we have been discussed. The same on the Saturday also we discussed the same, and today also we discuss the same. But difference on Saturday and Sunday, so Saturday and Monday is we have been discussed with one browser, so one class and then one interface. Here what we have did is one class, sorry, one interface with the multiple classes we have been discussing.
Okay, this I understood. Actually, what I'm trying to say is, so when we have in interface unimplemented methods, by creating a class using the implement keyword, we have already implemented that particular methods. Is it really needed, mandatory to, take a reference class and creating object for the interface class?
You tell me now. You created an interface and then you have been created these particular methods. What is the use with this now? I didn't do any implementations. If you don't do the implementation of this particular method, will it really require or will it make any sense? See, now you open a bank account, but you didn't deposit the money. Will it make any difference for you?
No, we should
You've
use
taken,
that particular functionality.
see, now you've taken the driving license, but you're not driving a vehicle. Will it make any sense?
No.
So you should able to use them, right? So now this is the implementations you have been done in the classes. Now the exact you see now, if you understand, I told you that it will confuse a lot. Interface is not a simple topic to get easily understand. Okay, now you follow this particular next 10 minutes. So then you will understand what the exact use and accurate use of this.
Okay.
Now just hold on your all doubts and everything. So let me go for the implementation. You'll understand that particular concept here. Now what I'm trying to do is, now what I'll be trying to do, I'll create one more class. Okay, so this class is called as runner class. Okay, in this particular runner class, I'll go now. In this particular runner class, what I'll try to do is, so in this particular runner class, okay, I'm just thinking that how better and the best way for you to explain without having the confusion. So I'm just thinking, just give me 1 minute, please. If I'm implementing with the classes. Okay, let me try to do it in this way so that it will be easy for you to get understand. Okay. Provision. Okay, fine. So let me take you through this. Let's, I'm telling you, right? If you are able to understand this simple statement, so this particular line, if you are able to understand, you will understand the complete architecture of Selenium. If you're not able to understand this statement, you will never understand Selenium at all. Just you will be by-hearting and like you're mocking and then you're throwing on the things. But if you really understand this one, because you're almost through. So if you understand this concept, this is what Selenium is. Okay. Now, let me explain you what I have done. What is Chrome browser?
Interface.
Not Chrome, common browser. So common browser?
Interface.
It's an interface.
Interface.
I'm trying to create an object
Object
reference. Now, who is giving the space for this one?
Chrome driver. Chrome
This is
driver.
giving the this one. Now, if I come with this particular obj cd1 dot, what the method I wanted to do first, Chrome browser method. Okay. Okay, now I'm getting this one, right? Now, what all the methods I can have it? Opening, closing, navigation, and refresh. Okay. Now, if I execute this, what is the statements it was going to print for me?
It will implement
So now,
Chrome driver.
From the
So now-
Chrome driver method.
Browser opening Chrome driver, browser closing Chrome driver.
so now let me see that I have been given this one. Everything it is coming from the Chrome. Now, let me imagine that if I have been given here what it will print now.
From Firefox,
From Firefox.
From Firefox.
From Firefox.
All the methods from Firefox.
Okay. Now, if I have been calling this one from this one, it was same object name, right? So that's the reason it was throwing me there. So now, if I commented this one, now what it will print?
From the Safari.
All the methods from the Safari driver.
Safari method.
So now, if I'm calling this one from see, now what it depends. Now, when you're creating the object reference for an interface, now this is an interface, right? Now, for this particular interface, this is what the object reference. Now, for this particular object reference, whoever gives the memory means Edge or Safari, Firefox, Chrome. According to that, it will go and bring that particular methods. Dynamically, when you are executing or when you are running your program, at that point of time, this particular object reference will see that, hey, which memory I need to point, Now what it was happening over here? So now what it was happening here? So first it was trying oh my god, nothing is working here. Okay, so here what it was happen? So first I'll be having Chrome. So I have Chrome, I have Firefox, I have Safari, and I have Edge. Now this is the common browser interface. When see, when it is pointing to this, this memory, all methods are printing it from Chrome. Now when this is pointing to the Safari, it will be printing it to the Safari, and when it is pointing to me this Firefox or Edge, so according to that particular browser, it start to print for me. So during the runtime, it is taking the decision that for which constructor memory it need to point out. According to that particular constructor, then these particular methods would be executed. Now you see slowly, this is what our problem, right? So I have multiple classes. I have the same method name. See, now this is Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Edge. Now I have same method names: open, close, navigate, these things. Now I'm calling to the runner file. This is also a class. I'm calling this particular methods into this particular runner class. Now you see it. This is what, right? Multiple inheritance. What is multiple inheritance? Multiple inheritance, it is not supported in Java, because if we have the same name and same number of parameters, the class will not understand from which class you are getting this particular method. So now with this particular calling, now we are able to clearly understand, right? So from which particular class you are getting it and which method need to be executed by the compiler. Now you see here the same thing. So now here we are seeing it is coming from the Edge, so that I'll be executing the Edge browser. I'm getting it from Safari, I'll execute from Safari. I execute from Firefox, I'll get this Firefox. I'm getting it from the Chrome, I'm executing this one. See, there are multiple concepts involved in this one. Concept number one. Okay, so the first concept which you need to understand is, so you will be understanding the constructor. If you don't understand this particular constructors, so because you see it, so this particular constructor is what it was giving the memory and space for this one, and it was allowing you to get this particular method access. So you're getting the constructors. Next one, you're getting the most important topic is runtime. During the runtime, you are saying that, hey, you need to call the Edge driver. So now this is called as runtime polymorphism. This is called runtime polymorphism, or this can be called as dynamic polymorphism also, because at the means dynamically during the runtime it was getting this particular constructor, and then it will start doing the execution. Usually to confuse in any interviews, to make the interview so typical and then difficult, these are the questions it will be asked. Hey, can you tell me what is a runtime polymorphism with a live example? So now when you go for this particular live example, so that you can clearly understand. So now during the runtime, means during the runtime, you are assigning this particular constructor and then you start executing for this. So this is called dynamic, means dynamically it can change, right? Edge, Safari, Firefox, Chrome. According to that, it will be changed. Then according to this, that will be done. So during the runtime, dynamically we can do it. So this is called the dynamic polymorphism. Next, the most important thing is interfaces, right? So what is an interface and how unimplemented methods will be defined in this particular interfaces? So those all things will be discussed in this. And here, another important thing, you'll be trying to understand the object creations, object reference creations, right? So object reference creations, right? Now, if you see here, now you're creating an object for the own class, you can create it. But for what we are trying to do, we are trying to create it for an interface object reference and allocating this particular child class or not. It means anything. So if it is, if you thinking that this is an interface or this is a class, so there are two definitions for this one. So allocating a class memory to an interface, then this is called as upcasting. Or so this is one of the most important topic, upcasting and downcasting. You don't worry about the downcasting because it confuses you. What do you mean by upcasting? Upcasting is nothing but allocating the child class memory to the parent class memory. Then it is called upcasting. So you remember, right? Data type casting. So what we call it as typecasting. Typecasting means changing from one data type to another data type is called typecasting. Now here this is called upcasting. Upcasting means so using converting into the upper level. Now, what do you mean by upper level? Giving the child class memory to the parent class memory, then this is called the upcasting. Hey, why do we need to do the giving the child class memory to the parent class memory or giving the class memory to the interface? So here we have been seeing that there are two different types in the upcasting. Giving child class memory to the parent class memory. Okay, giving from child memory to the parent memory. This will happen in which concept? Which concept will have the child class and parent class?
Inheritance.
Inheritance.
Okay, in the inheritance, if you do the child class memory to the parent class memory, hey, why you need to do this? This topic we didn't discuss, so you don't need to worry about it. But you understand the concept, giving the child class memory to the parent class memory. So this is one scenario in the upcasting, and second scenario is, what is the second scenario?
Parent class.
Huh?
Class memory to interface.
Interface.
Class memory to the interface object reference. Okay, so upcasting can be achieved or implemented in these two ways. One is giving the child class memory to the parent class memory or class memory to the interface object reference. If you're giving this one, then this is called upcasting. Guys, this is really very, very important. And I'm telling you, right, if you understand this one line statement, you tell me all these things are coming or not, constructors are coming or not, and polymorphism, runtime polymorphism coming or not. How to achieve the runtime polymorphism?
Assigning class memory to the interface.
Runtime polymorphism can be achievable with what type of polymorphism?
Overriding.
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 With the means overriding, the method overriding will be coming under the point of runtime polymorphism. And how exactly runtime polymorphism occurs? So this is what you remember when I'm explaining about the method overriding. I said that hey, we'll be discussing about the runtime polymorphism. I said now we will not discuss this. We will discuss when we are discussing the interfaces. Now here, now you see it at the runtime. During the runtime, we are assigning that particular constructor. So now for the same object, having a different behavior, same object with Safari, same object with Firefox, same object with Chrome driver, having the same object with a different type of constructors. And during that particular runtime, it can change the behavior, right? That is what it was happening, right? Now, if it is Edge driver, it was printing for Edge. If it is Firefox, it is printing for Firefox. Now, during the runtime, it changes the behavior based upon the constructor. So this is called as runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism. Dynamically, it changes that. See now, when you're asking the definition, hey, what is dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism? Runtime polymorphism definition for this one is, hey, during the runtime, so the particular object, the interface object reference will change based upon the constructor which it is allocated for it. So that is called runtime polymorphism. Dynamic polymorphism, it is also same. So now dynamically, when we have a constructor object reference, dynamically we can change these particular constructors. So based upon this particular constructor, we will be getting that particular methods to be called. So this is called dynamic polymorphism. So this is how we need to give the definition for the runtime or the dynamic polymorphism. But whatever the concepts, it is same. And runtime polymorphism can be achieved by the help of overriding, and it takes the concept of inheritance. So this is where the runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism implementation will be done. So now you understand what is dynamic polymorphism and runtime polymorphism.
Yes, sir.
Now we also discussed about an interface. Now what is an interface, and can we create an object reference for interface? Answer is big no. We can't create an object reference for an interface. Why? Because you don't have the constructor. Why we don't have the constructor? Why we will not have a constructor for an interface?
Not implemented. The classes are not implemented.
No declaration and element.
It's only declared.
There will be unimplemented method.
What I need to store? So, constructor will do the initialization. Constructor will store the spaces and all the things. Now, I don't even have. See, for an example, now, if you have a property, you will be keeping a watchman or you keep a driver. I think you don't have a car. Will you keep a driver? You don't have a property. Will you keep a watchman?
No.
Same. You don't have anything to take care. Initializations is not required. Space information is not required. Then why we will have a constructor? So this is one of the important typical question, and many of the people didn't answer me. See, first question. So now this is an interlinked question. Can I create an object reference for an interface? No. Why? Because there is no constructor. Why we don't have the constructor? Because it is a completely unimplemented and abstract methods, and no initializations and these things are required. So that's the reason we will not have a constructor for it. As we don't have a constructor, we can't create an object reference. If you wanted to create an object reference for an interface, take the help of any particular implemented class. Now these all are implemented classes. With this particular implemented classes, I'm trying to implement further. Okay, this is the definition which we need to give it for the object interfaces and object references. And next one is the upcasting. See, upcasting. So this is what we have been seeing in this scenario. See, there will be multiple scenarios. Okay, so now child class. So this is in the inheritance you'll be getting it. Why we need to take this particular child class memory to the parent class? That's a separate topic. I don't want to merge it. But here the topic it is allocating the class memory to the interface object reference memory. This is called upcasting here in this scenario. Is it clear? Allocating this particular child class memory to the allocating this particular class memory to this particular interface reference object. That's it. So this is called upcasting. So this is how you need to define this.
I have one doubt here. In this runner class, is there an, I mean, I can understand there is no need to use any implements, but how does the runner class actually understand that the constructor is from the other class? Is it because it's in the same package?
Absolutely. Everything is in the same package. If it is in a different package?
Okay. I'm not sure.
If it is a different?
I don't know.
We'll be using the import. Now, for example, now I have com. Which package you wanted to take it out? That's it. Just you'll be taking that particular classes. Com dot training dot interfaces. You'll get all. If you given the star, you'll get that. As it is in the
Okay.
same package, I'm able to access everything. And this is also everything we have defined it as a public. If it is in a private and everything, so when we go for the access specifiers, you'll understand. But that's a good question, Luca. Always you remember, as this is in the same package, you're able to get this all. If it is in a
Yes.
different package, you need to do the import of that particular package like this. Then the implementation is same.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more? So now till here, any questions? So now with this one, we have been understood the constructors, runtime polymorphism, interfaces, object reference creation for interfaces, and upcasting. Now you see it. This is how the implementation will come first. For an example, switch. Okay. Here I'll be writing this one as str. I'm showing you the real-time implementation browser name. Case Chrome. What is the syntax errors I'm doing it? Huh?
Chrome within quotes.
Double
sir.
questions.
Why still it is throwing me error message?
Data type message.
Okay, so now I'll keep this one.
The semicolon after the edge, after the string. Sorry, colon.
Is it so? Okay, this is where we'll be forgetting. Means we will be forgetting the syntax. And Java is very stringent. This way, so. Okay, so now let me take for Safari. Let me take for Edge. Safari. Okay, now you will see what is error message.
Colon after Chrome, sir.
After the Chrome. Yes, sir.
So colon should be after.
Still it is
No, remove the colon after. Remove the colon after case.
Understood? Now, what I need to do for this? This is you're right at a class level. Let me define this. Okay. Now,
I think we have missed string data type, sir.
That I'll give it. First of all, we need to clear the issues here, right? Then I wanted to clear that. So here I'll be doing it. Okay. So let me define that one and also as a static string. Done. How I need to give an input? How I can give an input?
We need to initialize a value to str browser
So
underscore.
these are the things which you need to do it. We need to use a scanner class for giving the input. Yes, for your faster reference, I'm doing this one. Okay, so okay, so this one also I can show it to you, but for as of now, for the namesake, let me do this one. Okay, so I'm hard coding it. Actually, during the runtime, I can assign that. So that is where the input go about. If I given this one, so now you see it, the code, everything have been written for it. Now on the real time, now whatever the things if you pass dynamically, here I'm passing it as a Chrome. So now when I execute this particular program, it is printing with me this Chrome. Now the same thing if I am executing with the Firefox, I'm not changing anything. Okay, you see it. It executed the Firefox. I'm giving it with Safari. See, this is how the original implementation when I wanted to execute with the multiple browsers. So this is how I'll be giving it, and I'll just pass this particular parameter. Usually this parameter comes from the Jenkins and or from anywhere from the configuration file we'll be getting it. So once we got this one, so this executes and then it gives me this results. Now you can see it comes from Safari. So it all depends upon this particular object reference which you are trying to give on it. So because of this particular runtime polymorphism, dynamically it takes that particular browser. The code will not change. The code will remain still same, either for Firefox or anything it is same, and it will execute that and it will give packets. So this is the beauty of this one. So usually in the Selenium, how we do implementation is, so instead of this one, what we'll be having is, we'll be having a driver. That's it. Now you can see it. So this is the code implementation you'll be having. Complete Selenium implementation is this. Driver dot. That particular method. Means now you see it. What it happens, this particular driver, if it is a Chrome driver, it will execute for Chrome. It's a Safari, now right? It execute for Safari. It's Safari. So now if it is a Chrome, it executes for Chrome now. That simple is this. But you tell me how important is this? And did you understand the concept of multiple inheritance? With the same name in all the classes. Same name, I have it. I can run it in this particular runner file and execute it. But now I know that from which particular class I'm getting that particular method and I'm executing it. So this is the disadvantage in the Java with the multiple inheritance. Now you understood, right? How this particular multiple inheritance has been recovered back with the help of interfaces. See, now underlying current which it is meant to implement all these things is interfaces. That's the importance of an interface. If you understand interfaces thoroughly, you can play around with Java. You can play around with complete frameworks. You can create your own frameworks if you really understand the concept of interface. Believe me, for me, it takes more than 6 months to understand this particular interface when I was learning. Because always I used to confuse. See, even now, because maybe lack of practice now, because I'm not working in Java currently. But still now, when I started to, when I start to explain here, I just taken some paths and then I started to explain. Because even when I was trying to implement it, so in which way, if I can explain you, that would be easiest, better way. At the same point of time, what implementation I need to do it so that it will be easy for you to get understanding. And why I'm saying this one is always practice, practice and practice. You implement all these things with a single class, single interface, multiple classes, single interface, and multiple classes with a runner class and implement. So then you implement this all. So this is what the real-time implementation. You know what? This is what the thing called as a framework. That's it. And see now you want to see now you're hard coding and passing it, right? Instead of this hard coding and passing it, so what we will do is so during the runtime we can pass this one. So now you wanted to implement means import a particular class. If you hover on this one, it will ask you import that. Okay. Now once you are importing it, so you need to enter that particular browser name. Okay. So now let me string enter browser name. You might confuse because multiple times we will be using on this one, so that's the reason it is pretty easy for us to quickly change this code and then workable for us. So now what I wanted to do it, I wanted to enter the browser name, right? Chrome. I entered. That's it. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to once again execute this program. Okay. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to execute with Edge. You see it, right? It was printing the complete Edge. Means during the runtime, I am giving the input. So based upon that input, it will be gained. So previously, what we have done, we have been hard coded this. So we have been hard coded, right? We have been hard coded. Now what I'm trying to do during the runtime, I was giving it. So now when I was trying to execute it, now I'll give the Firefox. So here I'm trying to give the Firefox. So now if I given now Opera is there. So it is saying that browser is Opera, okay, and then not match with any browsers. You see it? It come to the default, not match with any browsers. And then what it happened? It thrown the error, null pointer exception, because now when you're calling these particular things, so this is where you get the null pointer exception. This is one of the important exceptions when you're getting it. So that particular driver object don't have any reference, and you're calling this particular method. There is no reference for this one. So this is called null pointer exception, which you'll be getting for this. And this is really a very, when you go for real time, so they will ask you a null pointer exception. Anyways, we didn't come to the errors and exceptions now. Once we go for that errors and exceptions, you can see that. We'll talk about this particular null pointer exceptions and everything. See, as of now, what you need to understand is how these interfaces are implemented and how these particular things are done. And now you can easily decode this particular thing. See now, scanner. What is scanner? What is scanner here?
Scanner is a class.
It's a class. So always we are creating an object for reference for this one. So now when you hover on this one, you can see the complete information of that particular class. So now this is Java utils. Java util is a package. In this one, you have a scanner class, a simple text scanner which it parts the primitive and non-primitive regular expressions. You can see what it is exactly. Now I'm creating an object reference for this. Now new, and then I'm creating this one, and then this is a constructor overloaded system.in. It doesn't really matter what exactly it was doing it. Now what I'm trying to do, enter the browser name. So you see it when we are trying to do it, it was trying to enter. Now what I'm trying to do in the next line, whatever the object which I'm getting it, the object which I'm creating it. So whatever the things it was coming over here, I'm assigning into this particular browser string. So that particular string, I'm passing it to the switch, and in the switch it comes and it will do the execution. See, if you ask for 20, 30, even if you have someone having 20 years or 30 years of experience, they can't exactly remember the syntax of this, because multiple languages will be working on it. Multiple things they're working on it. It is not really required. See, now even now I did what I did. I just went here and then just copied the code and modified accordingly to me what it exactly requires. I just modified this one, right? Now this is what exactly I required. Now I need to enter the browser name. So I'm trying to enter the browser name. So now I'm entering Chrome, right? So as soon as I entered and then press enter button, so you can see it was printing the browser name is, and then it is calling all these things. It went here, went to the Chrome, it assigned that particular object, and then coming here. Now if you wanted, you can do the debugging also. Okay, so now you can keep a debugger pointer. You can keep a debugger pointer, do the debugging. So see now you need, always you need to decode this, and then you can understand this one. So now here it is. Now I'm going to click the F6. Okay. So my object is created. You can see it. My object is created. For by default, when you create an object, these methods and everything would be there. Okay. Now I clicked it. So enter the browser name. Okay. Now for the entering this particular browser name, I'm entering it Chrome. I clicked enter. Okay. Now once again F6. Now it was trying to come here, and it was trying to print the browser. Now what it is there in this one, add it to the watch if you wanted. Okay. Now it came Chrome, because I entered it as a Chrome, right? It came Chrome. Now it will jump into this particular Chrome case. It allocated this particular memory to this one. Now you see it. So previously it is null. If you remember, driver equal to null. Now it is Chrome driver ID equal to 92. So this is the driver object reference or memory allocation number. Now it is getting break. It went here. Now if I click F5 driver dot browser opening, it went to the Chrome driver, because the constructor it is there, right? It went there and it started executing that printed. Once again it came here. Now browser dot closing. So now once again come to the runner class. Now here if you click F5, it goes to the Chrome driver, and F6. Now once again browser navigation, browser refresh. This is how it prints, and this is how it debugs. Now you should know the debugging, so that from where to where you need to jump, and where to where you need to execute it, and why we get the null pointer exceptions or this exception. See, if you understand this one thoroughly, there is no need to depend upon anyone else, right? If you don't understand this one, always you need to depend upon others. So this is how these things would be executed, and then this would be implemented on this. Okay, so however, this is a really very important session. So if someone has been missed, I can't do anything. But if you understood this particular session, majority of your sessions would be used, and then it can be implemented. That's it for the day.